Thank you, Peter. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely honoured to serve as CIBSE President. I'd like once again to thank Peter for his leadership and for his contribution to the work of the institution over the past year. It's been a remarkable year, Peter. Thank you again. Tonight, I want to focus on the contribution that CIBSE members make. Your knowledge, your experience, your skills and competence, and your capacity to make people's lives better. I'd like to start by taking you back to 1997, to Scotts Valley, California. Two American software engineers, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, are setting out on a journey to change how people enjoy movies at home. They create a film membership rental business that starts out by selling DVDs through the mail. But in 2011, with a technological change, faster internet speeds, they adapt their business model to streaming video online. Their innovation is called Netflix. Today, Netflix has 125 million subscribers worldwide, with annual revenues over £8.5 billion. They rival traditional studios with new content creation and have fundamentally changed the way we would expect content to be delivered. And this is something 20 or 30 years ago we just couldn't have imagined. Today's technological innovations are rapidly changing the way we live and work, allowing us to conduct virtual business meetings, or turn the lights on, or preferably off, or do your banking from your phone. With an OECD report this year forecasting that 14% of the jobs currently being managed by humans could soon be handled or carried out by robots, further transformation of our working lives and workplaces is on the horizon. Change is not only coming from technological disruptors. We continue to see and experience negative consequences from our own impact on the environment, an environment we share. Last year, global CO2 emissions rose to an historic 32.5 gigatons, and in the same year, the cost of climate-related disasters, such as floods, monsoons, droughts and hurricanes, hit a record level of more than £200 billion. But here's the thing. What happens when a major disruptor fails? If it's Netflix, we go and buy a ticket, get our ice cream and our popcorn, and we go back to the cinema. Or we switch streaming providers. But we can't switch our planet. We must continue to adapt and mitigate the future impacts. Awareness, education, innovation, all being key drivers. As well as this technological and environmental change, we are living in an era of political and economic shifts, with nations reasserting their relationships, particularly the UK as it approaches Brexit. There is economic pressure on the construction sector, both in the UK and more widely. And recent publication of the government's plans for transforming construction make it very clear that our customers, and government is our biggest customer, want to see transformative change in the performance of our industry. And they are echoing a wider global call set out by the World Economic Forum Working Group on Construction Engineering for transformation of our sector. Now, as we all know here tonight, construction is a large, complex supply chain that creates large, complex buildings, making rapid and disruptive innovation difficult. Industry-wide collaboration provides the opportunity to share the value of innovation across the supply chain. We are truly living through a time of dramatic change. And whilst we can do little to prevent change, where there are negative consequences, we should learn from them, respond to them, and to help shape a better future. And it is absolutely essential that is what we do, following last summer's tragic fire at Grenfell Tower in London, where 71 lives were lost and 70 people injured. As built environment professionals, we all have a responsibility to ensure that the lessons from the fire are learned, and we must do all that is within our power to ensure that they are acted upon. Dame Judith Hackett's independent review of building regulations and fire safety has identified several areas where change is needed. These included regulations and guidance, roles and responsibilities, standards, procurement and competence. Dame Judith recognised the need for the original design intent to be preserved, recorded, and for any changes to go through a formal review process, involving people who are competent and who understand the key features of the design. That information then needs to be kept up to date through construction and handed over to those who will operate the building, preserving the golden thread of building information from construction into the operational life of the building. CIBSE responded to the review's call for evidence with detailed input from the Society of Facade Engineering, while also supporting responses from the Royal Academy of Engineering and the Construction Industry Council. Following publication of Dame Judith's interim report, the expertise of CIBSE and its members has been applied to support the continuing review in a wholehearted effort to shape a better future for those living in multi-storey buildings. It is clear that construction in the UK must change, and that as a charitable body that exists for the public benefit, we are committed to being at the forefront of that change. Our members have the power to make a positive and significant impact. Everything that we do, whether it's the products that we make, the projects that we design, the buildings that we manage, operate, maintain, and refurbish, the code and guidance we write, or the standards and regulations we help to contribute to and help to improve upon. And I'm not just talking about the big budget landmark developments, but also the everyday, the housing schemes and other smaller projects that have a significant local impact. These are also the projects that contribute to cutting carbon emissions in the built environment, cuts that are absolutely essential in our response to our changing environment. All of our collective experience and knowledge contribute to CIBSE's standing as a globally recognised force for good. Our contribution helps to build, maintain, and continuously develop competency. We each develop our individual knowledge through the work that we do. We exchange and share ideas, experiences with those in our regions, special interest groups, societies, perhaps at the technical symposium or Build to Perform Live, through the CIBSE Journal and through collaborative industry events. Now, we can feed that learning into developing new CIBSE guidance, which is then disseminated via webinars, training, and fed into local and national government via consultations. And this in time leads to the guidance being reviewed and further improved, adding to the knowledge across the industry, and so it goes on. A virtuous cycle of competency with CIBSE members and volunteers at its core, each contributing to making the places we live and work better. CIBSE's strength comes from its 21,000 members in 16 regions of the UK, 4 overseas regions, in more than 100 countries around the world. It has active communities around disciplines, including our societies. There is the Society of Light and Lighting, of which I'm proud to be a fellow and past president, as well as societies covering public health, local exhaust ventilation, facades, and most recently, digital engineering. CIBSE special interest groups collectively boast some 13,000 members, over half of whom are not CIBSE members, but still want to participate in the networking and knowledge sharing that these groups offer. Our Young Engineers Network is an inspiring example of young engineers being supported to engage more closely with our professional institution early in their careers. CIBSE continues to develop new and different ways of engaging with its members and with the broader industry to reflect their needs. Our inaugural Build to Perform live event, which took place in London's Olympia last November, significantly extended our reach, with over 1,400 visitors, many of them not CIBSE members, and featuring 170 speakers. It was truly a formidable event. Another CIBSE innovation is our knowledge portal, which has brought the wealth of our guidance online. This initiative recognises the need to deliver knowledge digitally to ensure that it remains accessible to our members and the industry globally into the future. It also has an important role in developing CIBSE's best practice guidance to the broadest possible audience. And I think it's really important to say at this point that CIBSE was the first professional engineering institution to make its guidance available to all members online as a benefit of membership. We can't stand still. The world of professional engineering institutions is itself changing, following the sector review last year by John Uff QC. That review identified the lost 3 million, the 3 million people working in engineering that have no association to any of the professional engineering institutions. It is clear that engineering institutions like CIBSE must continuously work to ensure relevance, to maintain and grow their reach. And that is why we offer participation in our groups to non-members to raise awareness of the work that we do more widely. Some of CIBSE's changes are long overdue, and I am delighted that my successor will be CIBSE's first woman president, Professor Lynn Jack, Director of Heriot-Watt University's Royal Academy of Engineering, Centre of Excellence in Sustainable Building Design. And I look very much forward to working with Lynn in this coming year. I believe that diversity of opinion is an essential part of reaching agreement for collaborative action, aligned to a common set of values. We make the most progress by respecting different opinions, and I welcome the re-established and renamed CIBSE Inclusivity Panel to monitor, advise and ensure that the work of all inspirational people is properly recognised. Despite being established just under a year ago, the Inclusivity Panel has made significant progress. Inclusion and diversity go hand in hand, setting goals to treat people fairly and making organisations more representative of the communities that they serve. My own journey at CIBSE started some 30 years ago with a battered CIBSE lighting guide on my desk in Auckland. And being a passionate lighter, I joined the Illuminating Engineering Society in New Zealand. And when we emigrated to the United Kingdom, I started to volunteer with the Society of Light and Lighting. But when I think back, I needed someone to reach out and ask me to get involved. And tonight, I'm doing the same. I'm asking for your help. I want to encourage even more CIBSE members and others to bring their enthusiasm and their knowledge and get involved with our community of volunteers. It might be asking someone in your office or in your region or your group or your society to input into a guide, to help with an event, or even come along to an event for the very first time. My journey with CIBSE is just one story in our institution's rich history, and I look forward to hearing more of yours in the coming year. So, in closing, I would like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for your passion, your energy, and your most precious gift, your time. Thank you for inspiring me. You continue to change people's lives, and I hope in doing so, you enrich your own. Thank you.